Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Helena Holrick, and I am part of Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a portfolio business on your terms. And I am going to hope that you are joining me live. I went live 30 seconds before I needed to, just because I'm on my own today. Kelly's actually away for today. So I'm just going to do a quick double check and see that everything is indeed going live in all the places that it needs to go live in. So if you're here, let me know with a little hello in the comments. That would be very, very helpful. And you can actively see, there we go. So that actually looks like it's all happened. Good. So I'm gonna do my best to. Oh, hi. There we go. That's very good. So I'm gonna do my best to handle screens in front of me, screens to the side of me, and indeed teaching you a little bit around how emotive language can enhance your communication. So for those of you who don't know us terribly well, for those of you who have joined us on the Speaker Insight page, we are actively. Here you go. So I'm just gonna say this in here. I'm just going to watch that live video and make sure that I pop the invitation in to join the Connection Hub, because for those of you who haven't joined the Connection Hub, we're the founders of a group where over 10,000, nearly 11,000 speakers, authors, and coaches join together with the people who supply them to share speaking opportunities, connect with professionals, like the speaker agents, the publishers, the web designers, and really generally kind of help each other to build your business. So you'll hear and see a lot of those comments as they come in from people who are listening live. If you're on the replay, do a hashtag replay, because we like a hashtag replay, even if it's, 6 months down the line or 3 weeks away or somewhere in the middle of the night, which might be the middle of the day for you. So let me know where you're listening from today, if you're listening in, because that'll make me feel a little bit less lonely, because normally we are the double act. And let me know what the buzz in your business is. I'll tell you ours in a second. So that's anything exciting, inviting, intriguing, things that are happening in your business. Have you had a photo shoot recently? Have you put yourself up for an award? What's going on? So this is a big week for Kelly and I. So the first week of the month inside our Changemaker Central membership is always a big week. So we are running our monthly spotlight. We get our members to vote on the training that they would actively like to have next, and we are doing sell first, market later, a little bit later on in the week. But and tomorrow we are running our business to business clinic. So we actively have a clinic where we look at all of the things. So tomorrow we're specifically looking at LinkedIn and what you can do with that. And we're running a hot seat session as well for one of our members, really putting them under the microscope around an issue that they actively have and giving them some practical solutions for what they can do to really grow their speaker, author, coach business. So really, truly, I would love to hear what's the buzz in your business. I know that some of you are saying hi already. Rishi says hi. Thank you very much for the reassurance, and thank you so much. I don't know who you are who said it's awesome, but I'm really delighted. Raphael, I think, from what I can see, which is great. So welcome. And right, let me kick you off. With what we're actively doing. So the reason that I'm going to be talking about how to use emotive language to enhance your communication, and I have got a little kind of double sheet for you. So I pretty much like to learn all sorts of things about all sorts of things, and so I'm going to be pulling on something that we get asked quite a lot. So one of the things we do inside our Changemaker Central membership is we actively do some feedback for what we call Feedback Friday. So every week our members can put up a document and just get us to look it over, tweak it in some way. And one of the key things that we do around that, I'm just going to pop the details in so you can have a look at Changemaker here as well. But one of the things that we do around that is we look at people's sales pages, their copy, their posts, and indeed any of the communication that they do. And one of the key things that they struggle with is really this concept of how do I step into the shoes and and really emotively engage and connect with my avatar, my ideal client, so to speak. And that's really what I want. You're watching from bed. I'm just seeing Moni's because of course she's in America and it is early, so she is not having a lazy day being here in the UK. No, but well, you could potentially too, but she is actually watching from bed. So I'm completely loving that. Hopefully somebody's brought you a cup of tea like somebody brought me a cup of tea not so long ago. But really, um, the topic of emotive language, language that gets a response and reaction, I'm going to do a definition for you in a second, is really to help your readers, your watchers, your audience to actively engage with themselves and therefore you around everything that you're talking about. So, let me talk a little bit about that before about what it is before we talk about when and where to actually use it so you can make a difference not just to others but also to the business that you're running. um, we've been talking a lot. Oh, jumping in from, hey, Nicola, nice. Just 6 months. So Nicola says, jumping in from Leicestershire, I'm 6 months into my business and just feeling comfortable to spend on getting my headshots done professionally. Monday is the big day. Oh my word. I'm going to go and find the, because you might actually want to take a good look at this. Preparing for a photo shoot is a really great thing. And Amanda Clark is a brilliant person in our arsenal. She took all of our photos. I'm just actually going to see if I can go and find the, hang on a second. Uh, Here we go. Just to actually why good photography matters. So we did a brilliant interview with her that you might want to take a look at because it allows you to see just what kind of shots you might want and really make a plan for it. So I'm delighted that you're looking at that. So have a look at the hang on, I'll pop it inside the connection hub as well. There we go. Right. So completely off track, but really excited because we did ours just a month ago, and the photos are just amazing, and it's such an exciting thing to do for your business, and it's a requirement for your business. So good on you. You are so welcome. So let me take you into emotive language. Let's do some definitions because here's the thing. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking a lot about in these 1 o'clock trainings that we do every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. There's nearly 200 of them in the guides. If you're inside the Connection Hub, have a look at the top in the guides. You'll see them all kind of split out into categories for you. And you can also look at them in the files as well. We've got them all kind of highlighted for you. So so over the last few weeks, we've gone through things like we've talked about copy with the lovely Rachel Allen. We've talked about needs and wants. We've talked about earning the right. We've talked about actively listening and using the right tone in your social media. So we thought it would actually be quite a good thing to marry all of those things together and put the foundations in, which is all around language, because language is the thing that converts and connects people. So that's actually the thing that we want to make sure is happening. Hang on, I'm just going to go back to the Speaker Insight page and make sure everyone's kind of watching in some way. Good. All right. So first things first, let's define emotive language. What do we actually mean by that? And I'm going to make that definition as a comparison between persuasive language, because I think a lot of us, sort of in the marketing world, use persuasive language rather than emotive language. And actually, you do need to use both for different scenarios. So what it is, emotive language really is used to bring out the dramatic effect. It's used to kind of add to a sentence and adds a kind of dramatic value to it. It makes people sit up and go, whether that's in excitement or whether that's in slight fearfulness. And both of those things are engaging at some level because you're not just talking to the head, you're literally getting a reaction from the rest of one's body. So, we all like to share our opinions. We're speakers, authors, and coaches, right? So we all like to, we're bound to use language that conveys our feelings. And we have to really kind of, you can't do emoticons when speaking. So we have to use emotive language in order to do that instead. So emotive language really uses the words that tell our emotions and is able to then generate an emotional reaction in others. That's very different. Lady Elena, Judith says, getting closer and closer with my clients to what resonates with them, and it's always a journey. Yes, Judith Quinn, it is always a journey, and we are constantly refining and defining. And that's why using things like emotive language, and I've got something right at the end here that's going to really support and help in terms of defining those needs, because our avatars, our clients are always wanting to, they're looking to solve problems. They're looking to go towards their aspirations. Our job is to really make it very clear how we do that. And the best way to do that is emotionally, because people will buy emotionally and then they'll that's a hard one. Rationalize their purchase afterwards. That was hard. So, what I really want to say is this. So, emotive language gets a response, a reaction from the emotional body. It allows you to convey how excited you might be about something. Persuasive language or persuasive writing, particularly around the copy, is any piece of writing that we do that makes other people see your point of view, but also see it as the only option that's actually available. And it uses things like obviously and without a doubt and certainly and definitely. And that's absolutely, that has a purpose, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about connecting at a level with somebody so that they actively want to hear more. So, as a speaker, author, or coach, why might you? Oh, and please feel free to let me know, sort of like how this is landing for you, and whether you feel like you're good at connecting with your audience, or whether you need a little bit of help, because that's where this really came from. Some people are really great at emotive language, at helping kind of imagine up in somebody's heads what they actually might be feeling, and other people are really quite functional and instructional. And really, this live is very much for those people, so that we can help you bring out more of your emotional language as you're going. So let me know whether you feel like you're really good at conveying and getting people to engage with you at an emotional level, at conveying your feelings about something, or whether you are more of the practical, functional variety person. I would love to know, and ask me any of the questions that you have around it, because I can really support and help you with that. So, whilst you have a think about that, I'm going to say this. You need to use emotive language, sometimes sparingly. Moni says, I'm good at connecting with my audience when speaking, but not in writing. Okay, this is really good. And you say, Raphael says, not really. I'm ready to learn. I'm glad, pen and paper at the ready. So, why you need to use it as a speaker, author, coach is most of you want to grow your reach. Most of you want to increase the impact that you are having, and the influence that you actually have on other people, as well as just getting people on side. So for some of you, you may not actually be using this in your business so much as in the movement or the revolution or the change in thinking that you're actually wanting to create. But to change thinking, we have to change hearts too. And so that's actually where emotive language comes in, and telling stories, sort of, your classic I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King, sort of you, Junior, you actively want to inspire hearts as well as make it intellectually a viable thing. So Stephen says, I feel I can be pretty good at resonating and energy aligning. And I love that you brought that in, by the way, because energy alignment happens when we connect around similar emotional contexts. So again, what we want to be able to do is tap into the emotional context of the person that we're speaking to, and then have them resonate with us at that level too. And I'm really going to help you with that with a little bit of the sheet that I've got as a download for you. So you want to grow your reach, you want to increase your impact, you want to make sure you're influencing in the right way. You probably want to get people on your side because you want to grow that reach, but also grow that movement. But also, a lot of the time, Judith, I've just spent some time with Judith at her retreat, and you want to help them understand that you really do get them. One of the most commonly said things for me as a coach, that I hear over and over is, you just get me. And that's because I have the emotional range, or I've built the emotional range to understand where my clients, my ideal avatars, are actually coming from. And the biggest thing that we can do with emotive language is, of course, to create Marmite kind of scenarios. So creating reactions that are actively working inside them. You don't really want to be vanilla. You want to be a little bit more active. And the final piece, and this is the big piece, and this is where the sales pages come in and everything else, is you want to be able to use emotive language sparingly and usefully to enroll people, to actually, whether that's getting them to join your group that you've just set up, whether it's to enroll them into your cause in some way, or indeed sell them your program so that they just go, that's a no-brainer, right? So I'm just going to say, Judith, so I don't know which one of you has actually just said this. I think I'm getting better at, oh, it's Judith. I think I'm getting better at finding my right emotive language, given more people are coming to meeting with me after visiting my website, having found me on Google. That's brilliant because, of course, language is written as well as said. She also says, one of my favorites that I use is, I'm done with you putting up with feeling ignored, left out, or taken for granted. You don't have to suffer like this anymore. That is a beautiful example, absolutely gorgeous example. So if you go back and read that, or even you may even have kind of got it as I said it out loud, there's a lot of emotional context within that that allows you to pick that up. So this is what we're talking about. Now, here are some places that you can use emotive language, and then we'll get into what it actually is and how you might use it and how you might figure out how you can use it. Because there is going to be a style as well that you have versus somebody else's style. So, in a piece of feedback I did just the other day, I might be a little bit more emotive than somebody whose feedback I was giving. So I needed to rein myself in from that feedback, if you see what I mean. So here are some places that you can use it, right? So you know why you want to do it, but now where are you going to use it? I've alluded to this already. On a sales page, for sure. On your website, on the sales page, you want to really be using emotive language sparingly, not all the time. Don't want to overwhelm them, but also don't want them to gloss it over. But to really illustrate what the benefits are. Emotive language comes into the benefits as well as the examples that you can actively give on your website itself. So when people land, they've landed for a reason. Now you want to back that up with, actually, you are in the right place. Emotive language can help you do that because you're creating an emotional reaction, and anything that actually engages us at this level means that we're not actually scrolling by or clicking off that. We're staying there and going, oh, hang on a minute, that resonates, that makes sense. And if you think about those words, that makes sense. Sense is all of us, right? I'm just going to have a gulp of tea. For those of you who are speakers, whether you are paid speakers or whether you are speaking to engage audiences and have the opportunity to present your offers, that's absolutely, you want to be using emotive language and imagine up for people the emotions that they're having, stirring their emotions in the keynotes and the presentations that you do. You have to engage your audience and kind of build some nuances in there. So some of you who are seasoned speakers hopefully know how to use emotive language, but I have sat through enough presentations, which is what got me into this business in the first place, that are a little bit on the boring side because they just get too functional. So we can do some work in that side, on that side. In your introductions, there is nothing wrong with you putting some feeling words into your introduction that allow people to resonate and connect with who they're about to listen to. So in your 60-second pitches, have a check for yourself. Have you got something in there that lets you that lets you really support yourself in connecting with your audience in that 60 seconds. Who's just written this? Philippa likes this intro of "I'm done with you feeling rubbish." That's so much better than "Are you done with feeling rubbish?" Exactly, because it takes ownership. So Judith is taking ownership in that, and she's done with you rather than you being done with you. So Philippa, for you, you can definitely do some stuff around even the copy that I did some feedback for you on. You could play with just this little concept in itself. So that was just a bonus little piece. So here's the key thing. So in summary to all the things I've said so far, it's really this. Whenever you need to be inspirational, use emotive language. So whenever you need to be inspirational, not just instructional, that that can make a difference. So if you listen to these three versions, you'll hear hopefully the difference. So you could say of a sales page, let's say, download this guide. That's very instructional. Yep, just about to. Here we are. So that first one might be download this guide. Very instructional, nothing emotional in there. Versus download this guide to make posting your content 10 times faster. That has an emotional impact for those people who are scared that they don't have enough time to do anything. So I hope that you get the difference between that. Download this guide versus download this guide to, or because would be another way of doing it. Download this guide to make your posting to make posting your content 10 times faster. Versus you can go even deeper than that depending on who your avatar is. So you want to be guiding this for who your avatar is and knowing who that is. So for those of you who did the avatar challenge a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I don't know, time's moving really fast. You could actually do it this way. Download this guide to save yourself hours of marketing. How's that one? So I'll do all three so that you can hear them. Download this guide. Download this guide to make posting your content 10 times faster. Download this guide to save yourself hours of marketing. Which one of those appeals most to you? Which one of those engages you most? And some of that is going to come down to me having made an assumption that time is the thing that is complicated. Now, I could have used emotive language around to make it easy. That would be another verb that literally kind of works in this way. Moni says, I was checking out a tool that analyzes subject headlines, and every time I scored low in emotive words. It's a really good thing to do. Headline analyzer, if you literally Google headline analyzer, because I'll just keep going where I'm at right now, but I'll see if I can pop it in later. It's a really good thing. And so for us, we need to be able to step into the shoes of our avatar. For those of you who've been around in our world for long enough, you know I'm going to mention the four intentions any second now. But what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to share with you two sets of language or ways that you can use language that may well help you. So Jacqueline's just saying, I love words, but struggle so much with this in my written content. So for some of you who are obviously struggling in the written content, I would highly recommend that you do use something like Otter to talk into something, because some of you are better speakers than you are writers necessarily, and then you can tweak it. But here's the other thing. That first draft, your first is your worst, right? So you do a draft that might be instructional. For some of you, this is how it's going to have to go. And then you want to think about, okay, who is my avatar and what emotional context do I need to put in, and then start writing. Tally's just saying, I'm writing a newsletter whilst watching this, and I've just gone back and changed all the cat buttons. That's brilliant. You are so welcome, darling. You are so welcome. So let's give you some help here. So two sets. So the first one, I'm going to literally go back to the English lessons slash if your language, your first language isn't actually English, then feel free to sort of do this for your own language, because that really, or the language that you are using to write in. So some of the words really evoke, some words by their very nature really evoke a strong emotional reaction in the majority of readers or listeners. So whichever way it actually kind of works, they just hold kind of a weight that you can't ignore. And so they come in kind of three forms. Some of them are adjectives, some of them are like the abstract nouns, I will explain, and some of them are verbs themselves. And so you want to start learning and having gathering a pot of these words that are relevant for you and your avatar. So the adjectives themselves, remember, these are the descriptive words. These are brilliant for wanting or not wanting words. You know, when we talk about people have wants and needs, and you must sell to their wants, not their needs. You can give them their needs later, but you have to actually go with their wants. Adjectives help to embellish on those wants. So they're words like, appalling or wonderful or heavenly or magical or tragic, terrible. We feel these words just by hearing them. Words like easy, beautiful, or meaningless. Is your life meaningless at the moment? We can add words to other words and actually provide an emotional context from them. Tim's saying, I'm better at clarity writing than emotive writing. Brilliant to know, right? And so for those of you who are like Tim, you write the clarity piece first, and then you go back in and you work out, where can I actually put in, for example, some adjectives that might just highlight something in the way that you would actually like that. He's also saying, have to remember that they don't care about our stuff like we care about our stuff unless we give them a route in. That's correct. And so that's why we want to work out, what is most important to them, and then use the emotional context, the emotive language around that we can do. Usually time, money, energy are some of the, or the resources, or the lack of these things are the things that we can build our stories or our instructions around, and then add this emotional context in. So we've got some adjectives. So you can definitely use some descriptive words to help the wanting. The next thing is this piece around, and this is the bigger piece. This is where you're making your promises. So with your abstract nouns, now a noun is a naming thing, right? But an abstract noun is a name for a thing that isn't really a thing. So let me give you an example of that. So freedom, or pride, or justice, or love. Like if I actually asked you to show me love or show me freedom, different people here, even in the descriptions that we've had in the comments so far, would give me different descriptions of it. And that's the whole point about them being abstract nouns. But everybody imagines their version of it. That by its very nature makes them emotive. They're emotive because we desire that state, or we want to avoid that state in some way. So if you think about this, they're things we want to avoid, or that they're names for things that matter to us. So feel free to put your own favorite one in here. Some people might call these values as well. So a lot of abstract nouns are actually also things that we would think of as values. So what's important to you, if you think about that, those become your abstract nouns. Now, knowing the abstract nouns, the way that somebody defines what they want or don't want is a really useful thing, because that can be emotive. Hopefully some of you got a real reaction around the whole, oh, I would like some love, I would like some freedom. Most of you probably want some of that freedom. I'm going to do the cup of tea thing again. Hold on. And finally, so we've had adjectives, we've had abstract nouns, which you can use to kind of salt and pepper your copy in some way, or indeed your presentations that you're making. The final piece, so adjectives, abstract nouns, the final one is verbs, and then I'll take you on to the next piece. And hopefully this is all making a lot of sense, and you're beginning to go, oh, hang on a minute, what can I do? I'm actually going to set you some homework to take a piece of writing and or one of your presentations and go through it and go, have I got the emotive language in that I need? And indeed, have I got the emotive language in that I could have in? What could I embellish on in some way? So the verbs, they're, verbs, so to give you some examples of those, so Raphael, this is just for you as well. So destroyed, vindicated, saved, accepted, so a little bit further on that one, a widely accepted concept. You could start to really kind of embellish on that. Again, you can go bigger with these if you want to. Leaving, or deserving. Deserving is a juicy one. Or deserved. You deserve more. Like, that's a juicy verb right there that people will go, I do. Or for those people who don't have self-esteem, if you're a confidence coach, you can use that in a slightly different way, but it's still going to provide that emotional reaction, which is what we want. We want them to engage with us at a heart level or a gut level. We have three brains. We have our intellectual brain, we have our intuitive brain in our hearts, and we have our instinctive brain in our gut. So, and they're all brain matter, even though you think that you only think with up here. It's not true. But admired, or attempted, or bounced back. These are all verbs that you can use that bring up pictures or bring up an emotional response that allows you to, again, in your sales copy, in your presentations, just allow somebody to come up or be alongside you in this way. So let me know that Just like my cooking, I need to add more salt. Who's that? Philippa. Brilliant. I absolutely love that. Sorry, if it looks like I'm looking off every now and then, I've got Speaker Insight on the screen behind me, and I've got the Connection Hub on the screen to the side of me. So apologies if it looks like I'm looking all over the place. I kind of am. So hopefully so far so good. So just even in the structure of language, you can start to look at what's the word I put in front of something to make it a beautiful journey or a magical journey or a an arduous journey. Sort of like if you're actually describing how hard it is to do something and that you can make it easy, you can start to use adjectives in that way. So I hope that's beginning to actually sort of play with you. And for those of you who've stopped I'm going to do this. For those of you who've stopped reading novels because you're so kind of focused on the business, start reading novels again because this will help you absolutely learn language in a really good way. I'm kind of speaking to the speakers and the coaches. For the authors, my hope is that you are definitely well, for the authors who are fiction authors, my hope is that you're okay at this. But for those of you who are writing business books, definitely do some fiction reading every now and then because you'll be reminded of this kind of flow and how the emotional journey actively plays. I've promised myself this year, and I'm doing all right so far, to read one novel per month, that a fiction novel per month that actively allows me to just re-engage at this level. So remember, you can absolutely expand in ways that you don't actually think. So that was that level of thing. So you can choose your words to relate to the context or content that your avatar finds appealing. So again, you take a piece of writing and you go, okay, what can I do to make this more connected? That's really the question that you want to that you want to ask yourself. Is this connecting enough? What would connect it more? Where do I need to put connecting words that allow them to jump out of the page or allow somebody to be invited in? That's really what I'm saying. So your word choices really do greatly affect how the writing and the speech is received. And different words can be used to create different reactions in your audience or even in two sides of your copy. So you might want to have this is for you if and go with some language. And then a little bit later on in a sales page, you might actually have some, this is not for you if, and go the other way. So you can start to really play at this. So back to some examples, just so that you've got it. If I was to say, put that, any words can actually create an emotional reaction is what I'm saying. So I'm going to do a really mundane example for you. I was like, right, how do we make something really mundane into an emotional thing? So are you ready? Put that in the recycle bin. Highly instructional. It's not emotive, it's a command, but it just doesn't, well, hopefully, doesn't actually cause an emotional reaction unless you're reacting to my tone if I'm being angry with you. But put that in the recycle bin really is a statement. Now, here's how to make it emotive. You should recycle that because it saves the planet. Really different, right? That sentence is emotive. Now, that has some of my opinion in it. It might have some emotion in it. It might engage your emotion. No, that's not true. It's going to invite a reaction in some way. It suggests an action that also elicits that emotional response. It kind of plugs a little at you and says, well, don't you want to save the planet? Or, how could you choose not to save the planet in some way? So there's an opinion embedded a little bit in there. There's a little kind of niggle in there. So again, you can responses or reactions. I could do a whole live on that, so I'm not going to. But you can elicit a reaction, which might be what you want, or you could actively elicit a response that is oh God, yes, of course, I just did it without thinking, and that might be the one thing that now makes somebody do something for the rest of their lives. I don't know about you, but there are a few things that people have said to me over time that were just landed right that I'm like, yep, I always do that now. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but if I do, I will do that. So hopefully I'm doing all right so far. Good. No comments anywhere so far. So there's that set. Adjectives, nouns, and verbs. So how are you using those? here comes the next little piece, because one of the things that I've been wanting to share or remind people about for a long time is really using language to stir the heart. Now, part of what Kelly and I do inside Changemaker, and certainly inside the Connection Hub as well, is that, is to help people, speakers, authors, and coaches, to really be better at what they do so that we can change the planet. And so, I suppose my little example is a small version of what we're actually doing inside the Connection Hub. So here's the thing. Inside our Changemaker Central membership, every week we provide feedback, as I say, sort of on our members' landing pages, on the copy, on the content, and we help them develop and create the assets that go out into the world. And a lot of the time, we have to really help them make their products come alive to really get that emotional response. So that's where I would always offer you the four intentions. So, the four intentions is a tool that I'm just going to find the link for you so that you've got it. It is about giving you clarity, but it also allows you, absolutely, hang on a second, let me just pop that in here. So the four intentions is really a teaching that allows you to step into the shoes of your avatar so that you can actually figure out what their needs and their wants and their desires are. And we come back to this time and time again, because really part of that model is tapping into what your avatar is feeling and what they want to feel as a result of reading your book or taking your program or listening to your podcast. It's really the whole thing that answers why they should give you the time. They want to be able to do something, they want to be able to have something as a result of listening to you, but they also want to feel something, and that's really where you're going to get them. The sun is really coming out here, so I'm hoping that you're enjoying that. I'm just going to move this a little bit so you can see. All right. So one of the things that I'm actually trained in, one of the many things I'm trained in, is nonviolent communication. Now, Marshall Rosenberg wrote a beautiful book called Nonviolent Communication a long time ago. Don't be put off by the title. It's one of those things a bit like Michael Gerber's E-Myth. Never read it for years, wished I had, but it was the title that put me off. So nonviolent communication actually has a real key to your marketing. I know that sounds like a weird thing, but hear me out on this one. So as part of my coaching toolbox, I use this more often than I realize, probably. And it's also one of the reasons why we really suggest active listening in your groups all the time, so that you're listening for this kind of language that comes out there. So hold on, tea slurp, and then I'll tell you about the principles. The fundamental principle behind NVC Tara Rose says, love NVC, so useful. I use it so often. Me too, my lovely. And that's why I really wanted the opportunity. I knew Kelly wasn't going to be here. I'm like, oh, let me take the opportunity to make sure I can put this in front of other people, which is really great. So the fundamental concept behind NVC, nonviolent communication, is really based on this, that underlying all human actions are the needs that people are seeking to meet, that they're looking to understand and acknowledge those needs so that we can actually create in communication a basis for connection, for cooperation, and on a really global level, Marshall went big, to create peace. So I'm going to say that again. So all human actions underneath it have needs. Sort of all humans have needs, and they are seeking to meet, understand, and acknowledge each other's needs and their own needs, to create connection, to create cooperation, and to create peace. It sounds as if Kelly wouldn't let me. I know, absolutely. I have to take the opportunity to teach you some things that are a little bit too flowery, but trust me, this is really functional, and I'm going to show you how it's functional in about 2 seconds flat. So how does this help with emotive language? Well, here's the thing. He really started to decode needs. And remember, really, when we're wanting people to buy our programs, listen to our books, etc., what we're doing is we're satisfying a need in someone. Our avatar has a need for something, and so why not look at something like this that actively helps you do your marketing? So Marshall really started to decode the needs, and he gave us some language and some variety of language. So this is like a thesaurus, but a honed one, right? So hear me out. He gave us language that, in essence, what happens in NVC is there are two parts of it. If you can imagine kind of the infinity sign. So there's empathically listening and there's honestly expressing. So you are listening empathically, active listening in some ways, and then you are expressing honestly as a result of what you hear. So there's a toing and a froing. Now, how does that help us with needs? Well, there are kind of four stages that happen inside nonviolent communication. There are observations, there are feelings, there are needs, and there are requests. So the concept here I'm going to really pull out is this: the feelings and the needs in particular, because that's actually what we need to use in order to use our emotive language. So these two wonderful lists, and I'm going to pop this in. So stay with me until the end and then go and download this, okay? But on the cnvc.org website, you can actually pull these lists off. But I've actually kind of gone and done that for you. So just give me a second, because because when there are two of us, it's much easier to do this. So bear with me. Here we go. Control C, and here we are. Control V. I'm just going to pop those inside here as well, so that you've got them both in Speaker Insight and on the Connection Hub. So this list of feeling words for when needs are met and not met is really what's important, because these always help me when I'm writing copy or helping to tweak a landing page, etc. Because we have to go to the needs to ensure that we're really making the impact that we're making and creating an emotive response in some way. And we get the chance to influence positively as a result of those. And we get to help the people that we want to help, right? So really, hang on a second. Wait, I'm going to show you some of these. Oh, hang on. Where have we gone? Ah, la la. Oh, there we go. So two sets of needs. There are needs where there are feelings that we have when our needs are satisfied. So the list that I'm actually sharing with you, and you can see that on screen right now, is that, under the headings of affectionate, confident, grateful, peaceful, inspired, excited, engaged, joyful, and so on, that's just a little snapshot of the top of it, there are alternative words like a thesaurus, but a thesaurus of needs that actively go in here, which is really good. And so on the flip side, so that's on one page of them. So you can actually start to really look at that dry piece of copy that you actively might have had, Tim, and you can start to go, okay, well, what is the feeling that somebody might be wanting as a result, or what is the outcome that this provides to them? Let's say it is a product that you've got. What is the outcome that this product provides for somebody, and how are they going to be feeling as a result of that being provided, i.e. the needs are satisfied? So that's one way in which you can use this. So you can really use this to highlight the benefits of something. So that's one version. So now I'm going to flip side it. It's going to look the same, but it's not the same. So I'm going to flip side it and say these are the feelings that that you can use when they're not satisfied. Stephen's saying, help me see how I need to connect emotionally with a bigger vision so people want to get involved now and be part of it with what they have now. I didn't mention it all in all this morning's hashtag opportunity post. So much of the story is missing. Yeah, totally get that. But that's exactly what we're doing here. We're using what's the oi for, Tim? I absolutely love that. So Stephen, I absolutely see how NVC and connecting the needs is the thing that really allows people to engage and enroll in what you're doing. So even when you are putting a hashtag call out post out in the Connection Hub or a hashtag opportunity, use this kind of language to get what you're actively wanting. So dry copy into oh Tim, was I being judgmental? Was I sharing my opinion then about what you said? Did I make an inference in that? And so, but you'll notice that I actually got a reaction out of you as a result of that. So I'm completely loving that and I'm winking back at you. So the second side is the feelings that people have when their needs aren't satisfied. So you can use this to actively do the this is not for you if, and we can start to look at what they might be feeling that they want to get rid of. Most people want to get rid of a problem. Remember, we're talking about wants and needs. So most people are they fall under the heading categories of afraid, confused, embarrassed, tense, fatigued, disconnected, annoyed, vulnerable, those types of things. And so what I really want to offer you is, hang on a second, there we go, we'll go back to this. What I want to offer you is have a look at whatever you've written, even the homepage of your website. This is kind of your takeaway and the applied action here. Go and have a look at them from the perspective of those three, the adjectives, the abstract nouns, and the verbs that you're using. Are they actually the right ones that really entice your avatar? But also take a look at them in terms of the needs that you are meeting, or sort of the feelings that come up when people's needs are met or not met. Are you addressing those? Are you creating imagery and using language that really taps into those? And Jacqueline, you are so welcome. And and Nicola, thank you for being appreciative of my ability to find all of these things whilst I am the links and posting whilst I'm actually hosting. Posting whilst hosting. How fun can that be, right? So that's really what I want. So please, please, please come back here in this thread and let me know how you're going to use this, or let me know what you're going to use this on. I'm sure that somebody somewhere is working on something right now, whether that's a post that you're going to do today, whether it's a Facebook Live you're going to do sometime this week that you're preparing yourself for. Go and have a look at how am I going to use these lists and needs. And yeah, Tim, go have a look at your dry coffee and see what you come up with. So my wish is that you come out from the norm, and you actively start to use emotive language in a way that is right for your avatar, always that is right for your avatar more than anything, before you actually put it out there. So whether you are posting something, whether it's an introduction to yourself in the Connection Hub because you've just joined, start to look at what do I want people to know, but also what do I want people to feel? And as soon as you get to that question around what do I want people to feel, you can start to use emotive language. I really want to know what you do as a result of this. I am going to love and leave you for now, and see you out with the normal kind of banner that goes out. And yeah, let me know how you get on. I would really like to hear/see how you might have modified some before and afters in this way. Have a great rest of your afternoon and a really good, productive, effective, and decisive week.